God is good, and today I want to take a look at Luminary, a new open-world RPG that has some twists to the classic formula. At first glance, it may look like a Breath of the Wild clone, but Luminary, this RPG, has some ideas that could give it an edge. Let's take a look together. Before we begin, I want to give a big, major shout out to the members of Napalm. Thank you all so very much for your support. I could not do this without you. You are the sponsors of this channel, and if you would like to help support this channel, please click the join button down below for more information and a list of perks. And a very special shout out to the Lords of Napalm, Bounty Code, Ray Cooper, We Smoke Bitcoins, and Tango Hotel. Thank you for your highest tier membership. So Luminary is up on Steam for pre-order right now and lists as releasing in spring 2023 at the time of this recording. As you look at the footage, you may be thinking Luminary is a clone of Breath of the Wild and its formula. And although with the climbing, the gliding, the exploration, it certainly does look to have much in common, but there are two factors that make Luminary, the open world RPG, much different: multiplayer and procedural worlds. So we are going to dig into that in today's video and talk about what the developers at Refractive Entertainment making this game could do with this game during development. So let's go through some feature lists here to get a good idea of what this game is. So it takes place in a world that has used too much dark magic, which is warping the creatures in it, and you play a warrior of light using light magic to counter all of the dark magic. You are not the only warrior of light, I'd like to mention as well, and I hope they play that strength in their favor and hopefully cast away the "you are the chosen one" theme that is growing so stale, in my opinion. The game looks great, and it shows off some beautiful environments with a lot of freedom and where you want to go, including ground travel. You see the characters swimming and climbing and gliding, all in a Zelda type style. Now, for this type of game to be fun, the world will need a lot of challenge, and we do see some monster fights. So the game is focusing on the point is to find this one creature called the Dreadnought, which will be placed somewhere random in the huge procedurally generated world, and your actual purpose is to find it and kill it, and it seems like move on to the next procedurally generated world, which will also have a Dreadnought in it. Now, I do think that although this is an interesting premise, they will need more than just finding this one type of boss to kill each time, and I'm hoping as development continues and we get more information about the general gameplay loop, it doesn't just come down to this on recycle. Now, the problem I have is that, number one, procedurally generated worlds can be okay, but they never are as great, obviously, as handcrafted ones. And I can deal with a procedurally generated open world just fine, but then if you had just a simple premise as the entire focus of the game on repeat, and even with multiplayer and doing it with friends, it's gonna get old. No one wants to fight the exact same boss and repeat over and over. Now, perhaps though, the Dreadnought really is that hard, and we're talking the average gamer will need to truly invest into finding it, hunting it down across the vast landscapes, and dealing with cool mobs and awesome mini bosses, and having to gear up and skill up and level up, and perhaps there really is this entire fun process before that final encounter of finding and actually being able to defeat the Dreadnought. It really just comes down to, is this something that would repeat over and over in a single sit down, or is this a long-term commitment? And then should we decide to play it again, it'll be different the next time because it is procedurally generated. So I'm just not exactly sure on the vision as far as that's concerned, and that's deeply going to kind of decide how good of a game this really is. In any case, let's talk about some of the other features. So the multiplayer is available for up to 4 players online, and it does feature 2-player co-op as well, which can be played on the same screen as split screen couch co-op. And while you're doing this, of course, any kind of multiplayer, the loot will be shared. Now, speaking of loot, there will be weapons and armor and items with varying degrees of stats, but the percentages of chances for the drops can be different on different worlds that are procedurally generated. So they talk about joining other people's games in order to hopefully change your luck if you want, which is pretty interesting. Leveling up works in both actual levels for your character as well as gear and also skills for doing things, so you skill up the thing you are doing. This is the kind of open world RPG that you will be creating your own character as will your friends, and it looks like there will at least be quite a few options for races and etc. And the game isn't only about combat, there are gathering professions, types, and crafting as well, such as fishing, mining, animal catching, all those are specifically mentioned. Overall, the game looks pretty promising and there could be some magic here. It will all of course depend on execution of their idea. It's a solid idea, but can they pull it off? What are your impressions of Luminary, and does it look like a fun open world RPG to you, and are you looking out for it? I hope you enjoyed the video today, and if you did, please consider subscribing. And that's what we do here, basically, RPG MMO entertainment. And until next time guys, God bless and happy gaming.